pulls down on so many of us in today's difficult times. Welcome to Faithful Families, to help you and your family. So, welcome, my friends. Hello, Faithful Family listeners. I'm so glad you're with us again today. And wherever you are and whoever you are, and regardless of whatever age you might be in, you know and have experienced perhaps, and certainly know family members and friends who have struggled and continue to struggle with depression. And today we have a very good friend of mine who lives way off in Florida. So calling her from home, my home office in Arizona, and she's going to share her story about depression. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Dr. Maples. John, how are you doing?
It's the best day of my life. What else do you think I'm going to say? Thank you for joining us. I know it is very difficult to share about depression and how it affects people. So many counseling clients I've had and continue to have are struggling with the depths and the ruggedness of depression. It is a real thing. And so thank you so very much. By the way, I'm thankful for you. Thank you for being willing, to share your story about depression. So just start wherever you would like and just let it go. You're on now. Thank you.
I will say it's been what feels like a lifetime. It's easily been 25 years. And truth be told, I have probably suffered with anxiety and depression in my youth. They just didn't have a word for it back then. They didn't think kids could be depressed or anxious. In my early 30s is when I was finally diagnosed. It was 10 years of being misdiagnosed. So that's another frustrating aspect of having depression. But it was first they diagnosed it as postpartum, but then when that didn't go away, it was clinical depression. And my current diagnosis, and the one that I feel is the right one, is bipolar 2 depression. And that's pretty pervasive. It colors every aspect of your life. And while the depressed person knows that, I think friends and family and coworkers and associates don't quite understand that aspect of it, that depression touches every area of your life, mentally, physically. It's a constant presence that the depressed person deals with. At least it certainly was that way for me.
It actually controls you, doesn't it?
It does. For me, because I'm a fighter, it was something that I always had to fight against because I didn't want it to control me. It's like I knew who I was deep down inside, and I felt like wrapped up in this shroud, this cloak, this heavy, suffocating blanket that wouldn't let me be the person that I knew I was, that I knew I could be. So for me, it was always fighting. Depression made for me parenting very hard because I felt like I had to fight through that smothering blanket, that fog, to be the parent that I wanted to be consistently, as opposed to, it's a good day. I can enjoy peanut butter and jelly lunch picnic with the kids on the floor today where I couldn't do that yesterday, kind of thing. So.
This description, it seems to me very accurate. And what would you say about that? That it's described often as being in a fog.
That for me was an element of it. You are so beaten down sometimes, and the depression, the sadness is so pervasive. It's hard to find your bearings. For me, like, I don't remember the first 3 months of my middle son being here on the planet. I had this brand new baby, and
Yeah.
I have no memories of the first 3 months because that's the kind of fog I was in, where nothing could uh, penetrate through to my mind to become a lasting memory.
Right. I've shared with you, and I've put it in my book, my story about being depressed really for 10
Mhm.
years, also
Yeah.
clinically depressed. Um,
Yeah.
how deep did you go? Were self-harm thoughts ever a possibility in your mind? Were you that
They
deep?
were.
Many people have
Yeah.
those thoughts, suicidal
Yeah.
thoughts at least.
Yeah, they were present when I was not on medication. Um, Suicidal thoughts were present. Um, Sometimes thoughts of harming the babies when they were little. That was the postpartum part, they
Yeah,
thought. But really, just wishing. I mean, to wake up every day and wish that you hadn't woken up. When your first thought of the day is, I don't want to live my life. And you say it every day, you know, and your brain can't tell you to stop it. Your rational thought, you shouldn't say that, but it's still how you feel.
yeah.
That's really hard.
To
And that's why
me,
I said that was kind of like fighting through it
y-
every day,
yeah, to me, that's what I meant by it controls you. It certainly limits you.
Sure.
Yeah. Um, do you think? Do you think that, or did you have these thoughts? Let me put it this way: that you thought, I've got to be more positive. I've got to think more positively. I've got to be stronger. I can whip this thing. And yet at the same time, you couldn't get yourself out of it. You needed help, whether it's medicine or counseling. And positive thinking
That
just doesn't overcome that. It doesn't work for depression completely by any means. What would you say about that?
I would agree with that. And that's where it became very frustrating for me because, as you know, I'm a very intellectual person, very, very, I like to say intelligent person. And I know, I have my little psychology minor. So you want to say all the things the textbooks say, this isn't real and why can't it be mind over matter? And that's when I realized it, especially as a perfectionist, you feel really bad when you can't solve a problem or you can't do something correctly. And it took me a while to realize that it was a biochemical thing, that
Right.
no amount of positive thinking was going to correct a physical biochemistry.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't overcome it by just brute strength and awkwardness, my dad used to say.
Yeah, no. Although I will say, having that kind of commitment to find a solution, whether that is therapy, whether that is medication, those were the two answers that helped me. It takes a lot of strength. And what I can say now, not being in an active moment, I can look back at myself and I would love to say to myself, as the 30-year-old, the 40-year-old I was, you were very strong to do what you did every day, to raise three kids as a single mom every day while you were depressed. And when you're in the thick of it, it's hard to see yourself as strong. You only gain that perspective once you get on a more stable footing with, whatever help or assistance gets you
In
to
the
that
form of
place.
help, many times it's multiple aspects of help, medication and counsel, and loving support from others who are family and who can't understand that very well unless they have, or some others have experienced it uh, personally.
I agree. I was very blessed. I am very blessed. I have a mother very close to me who's gone through depression, not the same illness that I have, but knew the sign, knew me on normal days, knew me when it was severe.
Yeah,
She never belittled me. She never made light of it. And in that support system, was great to have you. I knew somebody was watching out for me.
Right.
I knew there was somebody that I could talk to within my family who loved me
Right.
to share those deep
what
emotions.
about energy? What about energy? Just energy
Oh my
to
God.
get out of bed and do anything.
Again, that's where I needed to rely on being a fighter. When I wasn't on medication, I couldn't get out of bed. Or if I got out of bed, I cried every single second of the day. And I'm not talking about like little tears. I'm talking about major meltdowns.
Right.
And I would have to go. I couldn't even focus on an hour ahead of me. I would go, okay,
Right.
what am I doing for the next 10 minutes?
Right.
I mean, if I could manage 10 or 15 minutes, then it was like, okay, what can I do in the next 10 or 15 minutes? You know, that kind of thing.
And so that is like living in a fog. You can't clearly go ahead. It impedes.
You can't plan.
Progress.
I could not plan a whole day.
Absolutely.
No.
Mine was, and I've shared this before, I was depressed for 10 years. But I was in clinical depression for 2 years, and I don't remember one thing in those 2 years.
Yeah.
I was in the depths, darkness, and to this day I don't remember that because, you know, if the neurotransmitters, which are brain chemicals, if they are not present or they become so low, then it's not connecting in the brain, neuron to neuron, and therefore it's not filed, therefore there's nothing to remember.
You make me laugh because we'll sit around the table like on a holiday and all my brothers and sisters and my mom will tell stories and, oh, Michelle, you said this and did this. And I was like, really? I don't have a recollection of a lot of my life.
Did you experience anger during those most difficult periods? I did.
Self anger. Some of that was self-harm. I experienced more anxiety and agitation, which is a shade of anger. But I had a lot of anxiety and agitation. I would become thin-skinned. I couldn't handle certain pressures. Like my Italian grandmother would call it, your nerves are too close to the surface of your skin. Everything would bother me. Yeah. And that's what it felt like.
Yeah, agitation is a subtype of anger. Yeah. You know what really, when I could think again, you know what really bothered me on any day? Everything. Everything or nothing, you know. I didn't even have the strength to reach up from laying in the bed and pull the string so that it could open the blinds so it could give me some physical daylight. But finally... And I want people to listen to this. I've counseled so many people who are depressed. Finally, when I had the strength to reach up and get the string and pull it so the blinds could open, finally, I said to myself, the sun will shine for me again. That was more than 20 years ago. And as we close here now, I want to say to people who have been depressed, are depressed, or those they love or know who are in various stages of depression. I'm going to record a lot more of these shows about depression, dealing with it. What the Bible says about being depressed. And how-to steps to implement to help you. I hope you're listening closely. I want to help you, and that is what Faithful Families is really all about. And by the way, speaking of agitation, Michelle is my editor, and I think I agitate her frequently. We're laughing now, but depression is not a laughing matter. Yeah. So here's my invitation, my offer. If you would like a free, one-on-one, confidential, either Zoom call or telephone call, a free offer for help directly from me and my experience in education and God's truth to help you or those you know who need help from people who have been in it. Someone has been in it, studied it, lived it, helped many. Then please go to our website, faithfulfamiliestoday.com. Go to the word contact. You'll scroll down and see a place where you can leave your contact information, and I commit to you. I'm here to help you. I want to. It's my mission, my passion, my ministry. I've shared some of this with Michelle, haven't we, Michelle?
Oh, yes, both of us.
And then I will contact you and have that confidential introductory information sharing to see how I can help you. Would you recommend that? You know me pretty well now. You edited the book and so forth.
Absolutely. You have a wonderful way of crystallizing a thought in a very loving heart that makes sharing easy.
You're not charging me for just to say those words, are you?
No, you're current on your bill.
Thank you. Next invoice. See an additional new thing. Michelle, thank you very much for sharing. It's certainly not easy to tell your own story, but it helps storytellers and story listeners when we do. I'm thankful for you, Michelle. I love you, and thank you for sharing this today.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. If it helps one person, it's worth it.
Absolutely.